Welcome to sunny Las Vegas, Nevada, the entertainment capital of the world, where the entire world will be watching Saturday night as the Octagon once again takes center stage to put on a show. In a city full of fight history, some more will be made on Saturday night for the first ever UFC Fight Night on Paramount+.
I am fighting Vinicius Oliveira, and I think he's a crazy fighter. I want to put on an exciting show for the fans and make my name known for a while.
I think that's it.
Tonight I'm gonna fight with Mario Bautista, and I'm gonna win for sure in first round. I believe in 100% in myself. He's a good fighter, but I'm better than him.
Oh my God! My goodness!
It's gonna be a crazy back and forth fight. The version of me you're gonna see is the best version there is.
Oh, there it is. Oh, right onto the neck. Yep, now you got it. There's the tap. Mario Bautista.
I belong at the top of the division because I am everything the UFC needs in the exact moment. All the good fighter is out, and now I'm the future, I'm the present.
Oh my goodness! Vinicius Oliveira!
Welcome inside the Meta Apex. I'm Megan Oliveira alongside a trio of talents, Michael Chiesa, Robert Whitaker, and Anthony Smith. Mackenzie Pavlovich joins us later in the show as well. There's so much to talk about, but Mike, you are fighting in Seattle, your hometown, in March, but I feel like you're a little more excited about Seattle on Sunday.
I mean, as of right now, I am definitely more excited for the Super Bowl. Patriots versus Seahawks. It's going to be huge. I got a big bet with my boss, Zach Candido, as he's a Patriots fan, but we all know what's going to happen. Seahawks win. I win in Seattle. It's going to be a perfect year for us Washingtonians. Let's go.
All right, a pivot from American football to Volkanovski's big win in Australia. Robert, you had to be excited about that performance on Saturday.
Yeah, it was unbelievable. As a fellow Australian, to see him get it done, everyone was talking about whether or not he was the greatest featherweight. I think he cemented that in his performance on the weekend.
An absolute legend to watch inside the Octagon. And Anthony, it's been a while since you've been in the studio, but this is a great main event. I know you're excited to be here.
Yeah, I'm really excited to be here. I feel like we're part of history. This is the first fight night on Paramount. Robert Whitaker is here. That's how you know it's a big deal. Michael Chiesa, we let him come here and hang out a little bit. But I'm excited. We got a banger of a main event, and I can't wait to watch it tomorrow night.
That is very true. In fact, let's take a look at the entire main card, which, as Anthony just told you, you can watch on Paramount+. We've been talking about this first fight on the main card off camera all day long, Dustin Jacoby versus Julius Walker. We've got a variety of weight classes on display, a great co-main event in the Flyweight division, and then, of course, the main event that we all have been talking about all week long, Mario Bautista and Vinicius Oliveira. Mike, Bautista sitting at number 9 in the bantamweight division, Oliveira number 11. There's a lot of fluidity here. This feels very important for 135.
Well, it's great because there's a lot of movement at the top with Petr Yan holding the title right now. But listen, when you talk about Mario Bautista, he's got such a fan-friendly style, such a dynamic striker. You see a lot of lateral movement. He does a really good job taking the angle after he throws his combinations. Does a good job putting traffic in front of his kicks. But what I love most about Bautista is the way he sets his traps. We saw it in the Umar Nurmagomedov fight. The knee that he dropped Umar with was set up by throwing that rear kick. You got Umar thinking about the rear kick, threw the knee at the off angle, almost got the knockout win. Also sets the trap for the right hand by throwing the right straight to the body. So he's got this dynamic movement, and he's able to set traps along the way. Just a very, very fun fighter to watch.
Well, and he's been on a bit of a weird journey with the fans, coming off of the Jose Aldo fight where people weren't very happy with his performance and the way that he approached that fight. And then he goes into the Patchy Mix fight and has an amazing performance. He's thrown a billion punches. Patchy Mix eats every single one of them. And then he goes into the Nurmagomedov fight where he's the guy that's defending the wrestling and not wanting to grapple, and he's the one that's forcing the striking and more maybe the exciting exchanges. So he has had a bit of a love-hate relationship with the fans. I've interviewed him myself personally and found myself really drawn to him. At the end of the day, he's just a dad. He doesn't do anything but fight. He just trains. He is so tuned into this game and so focused on becoming the champion of the world. So it's been a lot of fun to watch his journey and how it's kind of unfolded.
He is such a creative striker, but it is that Patchy Mix fight that makes me question his third round in that fight, whether or not Oliveira just walks him down. I'm worried about him slowing down and being able to skate for 25 minutes.
Well, Mario said that the goal for this camp was to get 1% better, his first ever scheduled 5-rounder. But his first introduction to combat sports actually came from family time watching The Sweet Science.
growing up, my family always used to watch boxing matches. We'd have the pay-per-views, the Oscar De La Hoya fights, the Manny Pacquiao fights. And I would always watch those and just kind of idolize those guys. And it's funny because after every fight card, we'd watch them at my aunt's house, and she'd have a punching bag in the garage. And I would go in there and just start hitting the bag until we had to go home. And, just always dreamt of being, like, in that spotlight. I was kind of like a knucklehead kid. I would get into street fights, and I was training at the same time. I would hit the bag and practice and watch these videos, and I would start to notice, fight here, fight there. I would kind of do better. So I just knew this was my calling. I like to do it. I love the rush, and this is the direction I wanted to go.
If I'm being honest, it's very hard to picture Mario as the knucklehead type of kid. He always just seems like he was like such a good guy always. But let's take a look at the comparison here between Bautista and Oliveira. Career finishes, there's a stark difference here. But also, look at the takedowns. Vinicius has taken down all 4 of his UFC opponents. But as you just saw, Mario shared that boxing is what originally got him into combat sports. Anthony, also important to note, he did wrestle all 4 years in high school. But I'm curious with you guys up here and your wealth of experience in mixed martial arts, how did you all get started in combat sports?
I think a lot of us find our way to MMA through wrestling, whether you're a college wrestling fan or did it yourself. And then a lot of those guys do end up finding their way into MMA. I found my way through a small amateur show. It was unsanctioned in the state of Nebraska. I'm still friends to this day with the guy that owned that show and gave me my start. So I just showed up. It was a place to go fight and not get in trouble for it. I didn't really know the rules. Wasn't very good at it. I had basketball shorts and a boil and bite mouthpiece. But that's how I got started.
Yeah, I can't comment on the wrestling. Wrestling isn't in our schools in Australia. But as any other young boy, I liked all the martial arts movies, like Three Ninjas. You guys remember that one?
Oh, yeah.
Dude, like,
Sean Shelby was involved with that movie.
That was my Bible as I grew up with my brothers. And karate, transgressions into MMA, jiu-jitsu, and the rest is history.
I love it.
So it's around 96 or 97. I'm at my friend Jeff Arnold's house in the basement. His dad is letting us watch this fighting show, and I just see this little scrawny karate guy fighting these big muscular dudes, and I'm seeing him win these fights. And like you said, as kids, you're always attracted to the Three Ninjas, the Rocky movies, just things of that sort. And I was a very scrawny, small child myself. I was a very unaccomplished wrestler, and I just saw this frail guy winning fights, and I was a frail guy myself, and I just thought, this is what I want to do. I want to be the opposite of who I am. I want to be a badass, and here I am with you guys. So, yeah, that was my first dabble into mixed martial arts.
I love it. I feel like we're all going to have to chant, Rocky loves Emily, from the Three Ninjas. All right, but let's talk about this main event. Vinicius Oliveira hails from Brazil, and I know, Robert, that you love his style. He brings so much to each performance.
Definitely. He is like bad intentions made person. He just walks people down, firing from the hips, like zero care for his own personal safety. And it was, like I mentioned with Bautista, that third round against Patchy Mix makes me think over 25 minutes, Oliveira gets it done.
I would never, as a coach, teach anybody to fight like Oliveira. It's hands down. He fights out of both stances for seemingly no reason at times. He doesn't always necessarily seem like he has a plan or a direction or that he's sticking to an idea or a path. Like I feel like in fighting, our coaches come up with this plan. We spend an entire training camp trying to figure out how to keep that train on the tracks. He doesn't necessarily seem like that type of a guy, but what you can't teach are instincts. And he just fights off instincts, and it seems like his reactions typically are always right. And you can't teach that, and it's even harder to train for a guy that fights like that.
I'm not using a comparison as a way to get out of delivering some analysis, but to me, when I see Vinicius Oliveira, I see like a young Michael Morales. They have the same kind of build, the same instincts, the same athleticism. He just reminds me of Michael Morales in the early stages of his career where we're seeing all this raw talent and just kind of too many big moves, and he's like a diamond in the rough. Now look where Michael Morales is now after so many fights. He's polished. And I think for Vinicius Oliveira, we're going to start to see him hit this transitional phase where him becoming a more polished fighter, maybe him getting out of some of those bad tendencies that you wouldn't teach a young fighter as a coach. We're going to find out on Saturday night because he's going to have 25 minutes to show us what he's worked on and what improvements he's made, because I think Bautista is going to push him to his limits and maybe not let him get away with some of the stuff he has in his previous fights.
I do like that comparison because both of those guys are so unapologetically themselves. They're so supremely confident both inside and outside of the octagon that you can kind of see it in their performances as well. Let's actually take a look at Vinicius's last 5 fights. He has won 6 in a row. Of course, he had that big finish on Dana White's Contender Series and then the flying knee in his UFC debut. Then he's had 3 decision victories in a row. And I think, Michael, that's important to note because a lot of people are talking about his cardio over a potential 25 minutes and what that might mean. But what do you take away from those 3 3-rounders?
Well, listen, when we saw the Sopai fight, the flying knee, we're like, boom, we got a finisher. Like, let's throw this kid in the deep end. Then he runs into Ricky Simon, Said Nurmagomedov, Kyler Phillips. Kyler Phillips was a ranked fighter when he fought him. Said Nurmagomedov and Ricky Simon just outside the top 15. So your second fight in your UFC career, you got to fight a very durable, very tough Ricky Simon. Not many people go out there and finish Ricky unless you're a guy named Song Yadong, who, as we know, is at the top of the heap in the bantamweight division. So listen, when you're going to go out and fight these guys over the course of 15 minutes, yeah, you're going to get a little fatigued. These are some of the best guys in the world. You're not going to be able to go pedal to the metal and just toast them for 15 minutes. So yes, we have the right to have these questions about his gas tank, but we also have to take into consideration the strength of schedule. I can't think of another fighter off the top of my head that in their second, third, and fourth fights in the UFC, they fought that high caliber of competition that he has. So for him, I don't have any questions about his cardio. I just look at him having to face top-level opposition early on in his UFC career.
People talk about his decisions lately, but it's not due to a lack of effort. He throws bad intentions from bell start to bell finish. And his gas tank, his style doesn't change very much. He still walks people down, still throws with full power at the end of the bell. The thing that I take a lot of confidence in is his last fight with Kyler Phillips. That was almost like a prelude to the fight he's going to have with Bautista, where the guy's cutting angles, lateral movement, a lot of feints, a lot of footwork, and he had to deal with that. I can't help but feel that he would have taken a lot of knowledge and learning tips from that fight.
I really think it's a positive that he's had so many decisions against top opponents. When we talk about people having a lot of decisions, we talk about boring fights. None of those fights were boring at all.
Right.
They were absolute barn burners, and they were exciting from the beginning all the way to the end. So I don't think we really have anything to complain about there. I think his coaches probably don't mind. He has a lot of game time experience. He has had a lot of opportunities to make adjustments mid-fight or to figure people out. And he spent 15 minutes times 3 with some of the best fighters in the entire world and found a way to beat all 3 of them. I think that is invaluable experience that you can only get here. You can only fix it if you see it at a high level. Now they went back, fixed all of those mistakes or things they want to change. And I think it's going to make him a better fighter because of it.
And unlike his opponent, he has prepared for a 25-minute fight before. He's just never needed all 5 rounds. And actually, Mackenzie caught up with Vinicius earlier today.
Thanks so much, you guys. Well, Vinicius, your 5th UFC fight for a main event. I want to know how this week has really allowed you to show off your personality and really step into the spotlight.
It's been a good opportunity to me show how good I am, and I promise for a good performance for the audience. And I got my prediction. I'm going to win this fight in first round for sure. That's will be amazing.
Okay, a first round finish. Bold prediction. Is there a way that you see it happening?
I still don't know. It doesn't matter. I'm just going to win. I don't know how I'll just win.
You've been very outspoken this week about Mario's style, your thoughts on it, that it might be a little boring, that this fight is to propel you upward in the division. What do you have to be most careful of, though? Because he does have a lot of octagon experience.
I just need to be myself. I don't worry about nothing Mario put inside the cage. I saw his fight, and all his fight is 100% boring. And I'm never doing, I never have done a boring fighter. So if I beat myself, I'm gonna win.
No boring fights, no boring face-offs. I did see you guys kind of chatting on stage. What was it that you were saying to Mario?
That's me. Mario gonna be surprised. I think he thinks he's gonna win me. He's gonna defeat me, but he never faced guys like me. He thought he faced some bad fighter in this division, but the only bad fighter then he lose, and he'll fight again. So I promise I'm gonna win.
I think I know the message that you want to send, but what is the message you hope to send to the division this weekend?
Lucky Dog is alive. Lucky Dog is here. Be prepared because I'm coming for you all.
We can't wait to see it. Thanks so much for your time. Guys, we'll send it back to you.
Thank you so much, Mackenzie. All right, Vinicius currently owns the number 11 position in the division, but he believes he'll be fighting for that belt before the end of 2026. He's on a 4-fight win streak here in the UFC, tied for the second longest in the bantamweight division. Of course, we talked about that flying knee, and he's got bonuses already to his name. But, Mike, I think that we would be burying the lead if we didn't talk about it. He cuts a tremendous amount of weight, which you can see and hear in his voice when he does that interview with Mackenzie.
Well, thanks to good old Twitter, as I'm kind of diving in and looking for some little facts here and there. But he said himself that, listen, outside of camp, this is a guy that walks close to 50 pounds over the weight class, which kind of holds him back from being able to fight as frequent as we would like and maybe himself would like. So you can tell that this guy cuts a lot of weight. This is a very, very big bantamweight. I will go out on a limb and say he's probably the biggest 135-pounder in the division. But it's great that he's open about it, because a lot of fighters kind of maybe try to hide that about themselves, and because you don't want to get labeled as a weight bully. But I think he's far from that. This is just a very
he's definitely a weight bully for sure. He's absolutely a weight bully for
and
sure.
You can't really hide it when it ages you 40 years. the guy, had to cut. But to his defense, he can't fight the way he does, heavier.
No.
Like they hit harder.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, I don't think he's going to be at this weight class for the entirety of his UFC career.
Definitely.
I think as he continues to get older, we all know how this goes. You start doing all those weight cuts, your body weight gets higher and higher and higher. You get older, gets harder. Eventually, he's going to have to move up. But for right now, I'm here for it. Cut as much as you can and keep making it for now.
But it's worth noting, and I don't know if some of his previous fights were at 145 pounds, but his only 3 losses are by stoppage. So to Rob's point, it is best for him to cut the most amount of weight because, listen, he's got a little bit of a reckless style. He's 100% offense, 0% defense. Yes. And when you're going up a weight class and fighting heavier guys, you got to be a little more defensively responsible. So I think that this is the right weight class for him. Yes, maybe he is a weight bully to some people, but to me, I just think he's an elite athlete.
Well, he did say he cut over 30 pounds in 1 week to make weight, and he said once he gets the belt at bantamweight, he's moving right up to featherweight. So he does have no intentions of staying at 135 much longer after he becomes champion. Okay, so that's our main event, which we will talk about later in the show, but we've got to pivot into this incredible co-main event in the flyweight division. And Kyoji Horiguchi made his return in 2025 after a very long hiatus from the octagon.
It is almost 9 years that Kyoji Horiguchi from Japan last fought in the UFC. Tonight he returns as a 40-fight pro. Oh my God! Fast as a camera flash. Wow.
You see the difference in the body language from the pair of these.
Oh, he's under the neck.
This could be it. That's
Guess
it.
who's back? A stunning performance.
I feel really good right now because I'm come back to UFC. This is my dream, Whoa!
All right.
A massive return for Kyoji Horiguchi, who all of us are massive fans of. And we've been talking about it, Robert. I know you love his fighting style and what he brings to the octagon. He returned 10 years later, but looks better than ever.
He just highlighted championship mentality, championship level of skills. I just assume in his 9 years away from the sport, he's just doing a training montage. I'm picturing animes, and because he looks like an anime character. His hands are so well put together. His setups, his feints, his distance control, and then he's got the grappling and wrestling to back it up.
I think like when you guys say he had a championship style when he fought, when I watched his return, I very much felt like I was watching a guy that was the champion of the world. And I'm not just speaking about the skill set or his striking or his wrestling or his grappling. It's his fight IQ. It's the whole package. When he goes in, he's definitely fighting. It's a plan. He has a plan. When he gets in these grappling exchanges, he makes sure that he solidifies the position. He'll punch his way into something, and he'll chase the submission. He was almost perfect in every single thing that he did, in the speed, the athleticism, the in and out, the distance management, the way that he just controlled the range. He was so well-rounded. He kind of just was like water. He fought wherever the fight happened to take place. It just really felt like I was watching one of the best guys in the world fight, and I expect him to be even better this weekend.
Well, it's worth noting. I mean, I might get in trouble for naming the names, but outside of not having a UFC championship, courtesy of Demetrius Johnson, his only UFC loss was to, in my opinion, the greatest fighter of all time. But listen, he won titles in Bellator. He won titles in Shooto. He won titles in Ryzen. He has won titles in every single major promotion outside the UFC. Like I said, if it wasn't for a guy named Demetrius Johnson, you would have UFC champion on that list. Now he's come back. little bit older, 35 years old, but I was in Qatar. I sat octagon side next to my buddy Mick Maynard and watched this fight. And when you see him fight in real time, he is so fast that any type of forward feint or motion that he presents to his opponents, they have to react. You have to anticipate a strike. And that just opens up Pandora's box in terms of what he can do in a fight. If you are biting on any step forward that he makes, he has the option to strike or take you down. He can do whatever he wants with his opponents, given the fact that they have to respect every nudge of forward movement that he presents to them inside the octagon. So for him, he's just a very fun fighter to watch, and it makes this flyweight division that much more fun. Flyweight, since it came back to the UFC, to me, has been one of the funnest weight classes to follow in terms of the turning of the tides with the champions, Pantoja, Moreno, Joshua Van. Now you got Kyoji Horiguchi knocking on the door to get to a title fight. If he gets past Albazi, I anticipate him fight for the title before the end of the year.
And Horiguchi is a training partner of Pantoja, the former longtime champion of the flyweight division. He believes Pantoja will get the belt again. And he actually said, respectfully, I want to fight him for the title, even though they've spent so much time together in the gym. But we've got to talk about his opponent, Michael. It's been a long layoff for Amir Albazi. The last time we saw him in the octagon, he found himself on the wrong side of a decision against Brandon Moreno. He's had some injuries, some really severe health issues. He's back. He changed where he trains at, and he feels better than ever.
Yeah, and this is a guy that really, he does his best work when he can get to his grappling. And not just with the grappling, it's when he can get his hands locked. So what he's got to do in this fight with Horiguchi is anytime Horiguchi makes that motion to come forward, he has to match him. He's got to get deep penetration on these shots. And one thing I love about Amir Albazi's style is he's not afraid to take chances chasing submissions. He's got a very controlled style, but he's willing to concede positions to pursue the finishes on the ground. So when he is at his best and he can get into his flow state with his grappling, he's a very, very fun fighter to watch. He's very solid for the weight class, one of the bigger guys at 125 pounds. He's going to be at a speed disadvantage in this fight, but anybody fighting Horiguchi is going to be at a speed disadvantage. So for him, I think it would bid him very well. Don't bite on those forward fakes from Horiguchi. If he comes forward, you have to match him. That way you can get your best opportunities to get deep penetration on those takedown attempts.
Albazi looks the best whenever he's moving forward, kind of setting the pace, and that is going to be so key in this fight. Trying to cut off the octagon, trying to control the spacing and the distance, because Horiguchi's going to be feinting out of everywhere. He's going to be feinting, he's going to be moving, his lateral movement's going to be so hard to pin down, which is so important for Albazi, who looks so good when he's got his opponents on the back foot, walking up against the fades, cutting off the octagon. When he does that, he looks the best, and it's going to be super vital in this fight forward.
I totally agree with Rob. When Albazi's moving forward, he's absolutely at his best. If I'm coaching him, I think when he's the most successful is when his output is very high. Sometimes he does get caught on the outside kind of watching because he is super talented on his feet, whether we think that he needs a takedown or not. If he doesn't get one, he's still in a place where he can absolutely win fights on his feet. But at times, I think he gets to thinking a little bit too much. He wants to well-time that takedown. I don't think he's going to have to run. He's not going to run into any problems where he's going to have a lack of opportunity to get takedowns because Horiguchi's going to come forward. I think Michael's right. They have to meet in the middle. He has to match him. They have to fight in the center of the octagon. But I think if he wants to be successful, his output's got to go way higher than it was in his last couple outings.
Yeah, to your point, you go back to the Kai Kara-France fight. And like you said, he does his best work when he throws with volume. And I feel like the Kai Kara-France fight, I don't know if he was afraid of the right hand or if he was reserved, I think would be a better way to say it.
I would be.
But he just really leaned primarily on single strikes. And you can't do that against Horiguchi. You got to play the pressure, try to funnel this guy past that black line to the fence, and you got to throw with some volume. If you just try to pick perfect single shots against Horiguchi, you're going to get picked apart.
Also, maybe worth noting, Albazi talked a lot about his return to his roots, which is grappling. He's done some grappling competitions as he's been away from the octagon. So just something to keep in mind there. Mackenzie actually spoke with him earlier today.
Thanks so much, you guys. Well, Amir, I know that it's been a long road back for you, but you made a lot of huge changes in life. So how has this camp felt now that you've moved across the world? You've found a coach that really seems to be working for you.
Yeah, it's been amazing and a very good change for my part. And I already felt it during this week. So I can't wait to go in and show a new version.
You spoke very candidly this week about how these bouts of inactivity have weighed on you personally outside of your career. What's the biggest lesson that you learned from each of these, and how have you changed as a fighter?
To just trust God's plan and take everything with a pinch of salt and take it step by step.
when you're facing someone like Kyoji Horiguchi, who has been outside of the octagon but hasn't been inactive? He comes into this with a lot of hype. What do you have to do to make sure that you get your hand raised?
I just have to do great against Tagir. I think Tagir underperformed. That made Kyoji look so much better. So I'm there to take the hype away.
What sort of message do you hope to send with your performance?
I'm hoping for a finish and to make a statement.
We definitely can't wait to see it. Thank you so much. Best of luck to you. Guys, we'll send it back to you.
Thank you so much, Mackenzie. Well, a lot on the line in that co-main event in the flyweight division. And speaking of flyweights, we've got some news for you. In just a couple of weeks, we were supposed to have our main event in Mexico City be Brandon Moreno versus Almabayev. Almabayev had to withdraw due to injury. And now Lonnie Kavanaugh steps in on very short notice to fight the former champion in enemy territory in the altitude that is Mexico City, Mike.
Yeah, and he's having to cut his camp short because he was supposed to fight March 14th against Bruno Silva. So obviously steps out of that fight into a huge opportunity to fight Brandon Moreno. And listen, I was in Qatar when he fought Charles Johnson. Listen, he was fighting a brilliant fight. I mean, really, he's such a good striker, so fluid with his movements. He just got a little careless on the exit. And Charles Johnson, being one of the longer flyweights, just kind of clipped him with a shot. But for him, it's not like it's a big jump up in competition, but let's remember where Brandon Moreno's at as well. He's coming off, he came up short in a fight against Tatsuto Taira. So both guys kind of in a similar position. Obviously, Brandon at the top of the mountain in the flyweight division. But for Lonnie, I do like this fight. I think it's a different challenge for Moreno. Moreno was preparing for a wrestler. If you watch Asu Almabayev, you're getting shot on in the first 10 seconds. So for Brandon, he's going to have to make a big change to his game plan in comparison to Lonnie. Lonnie's fighting Bruno Silva, who primarily likes to bang on the feet. So it makes for a very compelling main event.
I can understand the opportunity that this fight presents, okay? Because you beat Brandon Moreno, you're fighting for a title almost, okay? But Lonnie is a huge prospect. If you want him to grow, if you want to nurture his skill set, let him build experience up, you don't put him against Brandon Moreno in New Mexico. You know what I mean? I just feel like the chips are so stacked. It is such again, opportunity, right? But it is such a hard fight. Moreno is still Moreno. He has been the king there for so long that, yeah, it is a hard fight.
I really like it for Kavanaugh. I really do. Because he doesn't really have anything to lose. I've been the unranked guy that came in on short notice to fight Shogun in a main event in the middle of Germany on like 8 days' notice. What did I have to lose? Okay, so what? If he knocks me out, whatever. He's supposed to. He's the guy that's about to fight for a title, and I'm the unranked guy that's a nobody. I felt free. I was like kind of playing with house money a little bit. So I got to go in there, let him fly and see what happens, and it worked out for me. I'm not saying that's going to work out for every single guy. I might have got lucky a little bit. But I think he's in a situation where he can just fight free. He's coming off of a loss anyways. No one's expecting him to do well. If he can just go in there and just perform, and maybe Brandon Moreno has a lot of stress. He's in Mexico City again. He doesn't necessarily always enjoy fighting in Mexico because he is so popular and so famous. He can't necessarily spread his wings and just be comfortable because he is so popular there. There's the altitude, and now you have an unknown that there's a lot of pressure when you're a high-ranked guy and there's an unranked or lower-ranked person. There's a lot of pressure on you. A close fight is a loss for Brandon Moreno. So it's not just about winning. He has to dominate, or essentially it might as well be it's as good as a loss.
Very quickly, Robert, if you're Lonnie, do you immediately go to Mexico City to try to acclimate?
Oh, definitely. You have to. The altitude there has put a lot of roadblocks in front of a lot of fighters. Everyone talks about it, how much difference it makes. And you have to start stacking these chips up in your favor if you're the young guy that wants to make some serious waves.
No, absolutely. Okay, that's 15 versus 5 for our main event now in Mexico City in just a couple of weeks. Let's look at the top 10 of this flyweight division because as Michael said, there's so much going on. There's so many exciting fighters. Of course, Joshua Van is our champion. Alexandre Pantoja, I am told, is maybe getting back to training, starting to feel good. So he would like to return to the octagon sooner than later, I know that. But there are so many great names between Manel Kopp and Taira. Of course, we just talked about Brandon Moreno and this new fight that he's got. But there's a lot of talent in the flyweight division, so we will see how these next couple of weeks play out for 125. But going from our smallest division in the men's categories to, of course, the biggest, from flyweight to heavyweight, Robert, we've got to talk about Jailton Almeida. Coming in, stepping in on short notice, he's ranked number 6 in the division, and he's taking on an unranked Rizvan Kuniev.
It's a dangerous fight, but I think Almeida's at that point where he has to start winning the crowd over, winning the UFC over by jumping in when they need him. He is a very big dude, and I honestly, his takedowns, he gets them. I like his single leg shots from open mat. I like it. His grappling is obviously his strong suit, controls people on top. I would like to see more output from on top, and everybody else would as well, but he has the skill set there to make it a really long night for Rizvan.
Well, Kuniev earned his contract on Dana White Contender Series, Mike, and I know you're a big fan of what he brings to the table.
Oh, I'm a huge fan of Kuniev, and one thing about Kuniev that stands out is he's got deceptively fast hands. Kind of plods and makes his reads, but once he makes his reads and he starts working behind the jab, that's when he does his best work. He throws great volume combinations when he works behind the jab. And when he fought Curtis Blades, I loved the shot selection. Once he started to pick up on the timing and the movements and the reads of Curtis Blades' takedowns, he was feigning the uppercut, throwing the hook. So great shot selection, very fast hands. But what stood out more than anything in the Blades fight that's going to present the most problems for Jailton Almeida is the hips. Kuniev has very, very heavy hips, and Curtis Blades, being one of the better wrestlers, if not the best wrestler in the heavyweight division, really struggled to take Kuniev down. He's got big hips, he's a big body, and they're powerful hips at that. He's got great awareness with his hips, and the hips don't lie, fellas. I think that's going to be the biggest problem for Jailton Almeida is winning that hip battle against Kuniev.
I think Almeida has a lot of problems. I'm just being honest. I don't know why he would take this fight. It doesn't make any sense to me. If we have any knocks on Almeida's game, we talk about his grappling all the time, how great of a grappler he is, how dominant he is, how he's got so many finishes. We've never talked about how good of a wrestler he is. No one's ever claimed that he's this outstanding wrestler. He gets takedowns out of volume. He forces it. He's shoving a square peg through a round hole and eventually takedown. A lot of times he only needs one. If he can get one, he's going to find himself in a really good spot. He's going to gas people, and the next ones are going to be easier. Kuniev defended takedowns versus a much larger Curtis Blades. Curtis Blades is a better striker than Almeida is. He outstruck him. He defended all the takedowns and had Curtis Blades backing up.
And he won that fight.
And I think he won that fight. And listen, Curtis Blades is an absolute mammoth of a human being, so he's going to be upset when I say this. I think Curtis Blades lost that fight. Credit to him. He got the decision win. It is what it is. We're not the judges. But in my opinion, I thought Curtis lost that fight. So I think Kuniev knows that he probably won that fight. He's going to come in here. If he comes in with the same game plan and performs exactly the same as he did in that fight, I think he likely finishes Almeida. So I don't understand what the mindset is. There's other guys you can fight. There's better stylistic matchups. It's confusing to me.
Well, actually, Mackenzie is going to talk to us right now about how he came to that decision, Jailton Almeida, that is, on why he took this short notice fight.
Thanks so much, Megan. Well, Jailton Almeida is carrying two different themes into this fight week, risk and redemption. And as the heavyweight steps in on relatively short notice and places his number 6 on the line against an unranked opponent, Malaginho told me earlier this week that on the other side of that risk sits a reward that he's chasing. Now, for the 34-year-old, the obvious reward would be a return to the win column, but more importantly, he wants to show people that he can still finish fights in exciting fashion. And after experiencing a split decision slip away from him in October, Almeida told us this week at peace with that outcome, and a clear mind is what allowed him to return to training almost fine-tune a couple of key details, and now 15 weeks later for his redemption. Brazilian added that sort of as a buddy veteran to can these facts. So weeks is a first one in terms of operation. JJ heard me.
This is a little choppy,
dialed in, very aggressive, and exactly what he needed to return to top form. So you can see the return style that's earned out performance bonuses in nearly half octagon showings.
All right, Mackenzie, thank you so much. Robert, I mean, he basically said he took this fight because he wants to prove to people he can be an exciting finisher. Is that the right motivation?
Yes, definitely. As well as just to win fans and the company over and everybody else involved. I think him getting in there and putting his hand up when UFC and the fans need a heavyweight fight on the card is the way to do it. And to his defense as well, he goes in there and he does try. Like he throws heavy. He's got heavy hands. He just falls back. And you guys know that in a fight, when the chips are up, like you fall back to what you know best, what you're comfortable at. As much as I want to be a wrestler and a grappler, I just like punching. You know what I mean? So I generally end up punching a lot.
I'm opposite. I'd rather just take it down.
Well, I think that he fights like a guy that is very uncomfortable at times, because we have seen him start to get a little bit in that flow state where, with his skill set, with his body type, the way that he's built, he's a huge man, but he's very, very athletic. He's very fast. He's got crazy power. He could have a much more dynamic skill set if he really wanted to. And we've seen flashes of him opening up and get a little more comfortable. Maybe it is he just needs more reps and needs to continue to do it. Again, I just don't know if this is the guy that you do it with. It just seems like a big risk. But he needs more reps. He needs to be in there more often. And maybe this is the first step. I hope he surprises everybody and we see this incredible fight where he's got a more well-rounded skill set.
Well, in the Sergey Spivak fight, we saw a glimpse of the power in his hands. There was a beautiful exchange on the feet as they were getting up off the mat, and he rocked Sergey Spivak. But it's just hard to not go to your bread and butter in those moments when you're getting out of your comfort zone and getting to your striking if you're a guy like Jailton Almeida. But for him, what he has going for him is everybody anticipates the takedown. And like you said, it's not the best wrestling. He's going to shoot from space, but that's his ace up his sleeve, is the fact he can fake those takedowns and pull your hands down if he wants to mix it up with his striking. So he has the better opportunity to surprise us in terms of what he's going to do in this fight. He has more opportunities to surprise his opponent in comparison to Rizvan's chances.
He almost doesn't need to set up that shot because everyone knows what he's going to do.
Right.
It's like set up ahead of time.
Yeah.
Well, Jailton is the favorite, minus 160, but Kuniev did come in 23 pounds heavier on the scale in terms, on weigh-ins this morning. So just something to keep an eye on. Okay, let's take a pivot, because in March, we've got a great card that was just announced for London, something we're all looking forward to. And this main event is tremendous and so important for the featherweight division. We've got some great fights that are going to take place across the pond. There's a lot to look forward to. But, you know, Movsar Evloev, he continually says he should be next in line for the title, Robert. What do you think he needs to do in order to get that shot?
He needs to get to the fight. That's
Amen.
Step one. Okay, step one is get to the fight. He is sensational. He is a phenomenon. Like, he's got the gas tank, he's got striking, he can take the fight wherever it wants, but ultimately his wrestling, mixing it up, it's beautiful to see. But he has trouble getting to the fight sometimes. And I think just him getting in over Lerone and then continually being in the mix, being available to fight, gets him that shot.
Well, to Robert's point, the last time we saw him was December of 2024, but Lerone Murphy earned the President's Choice Performance of the Year award for that insane spinning elbow knockout over Aaron Pico this summer. Anthony, what makes him so dangerous?
You know, I really think that Aaron Pico finish was exactly what Lerone Murphy needed to really elevate him into these title talks and really being a fan favorite. Because in terms of what does he need to win these fights, he already has it. He's already an amazing striker. I think his fight IQ is up there with some of the best in the world. He sticks to a game plan. He's extremely well conditioned. He never really slows down. There's not really any holes in his game. We kind of know what his game plan is going to be in this fight, and he told us just last week after the announcement. He's got to sprawl and brawl. He's got to his defensive wrestling and get right back into the mix and continue to strike. He has all the makings of the champion of the world, but he probably has the toughest, most dangerous guy in the entire division in front of him. If he can get past this with a W, I think we see him in a title fight, absolutely.
I wouldn't say it's the most dangerous with respect to Movsar Evloev, but he is the best if your name is not Alexander Volkanovski. But listen, I love this fight because we get clarity as to who Volk fights next. Because at one point in time, before they made the Diego Lopez fight, it was a three-man race to get to this title fight with Volkanovski. Now I like that these two guys are going to have to lay it on the line. But what we need for Lerone Murphy to avoid the grappling of Movsar Evloev is we got to see more lateral movement. When you watch Lerone fight, he moves well, but he likes to settle in that kickboxing range in front of his opponents and start to pick them apart with his striking. We got to see a little more movement. You got to find a way to make the read on Movsar's takedowns. And when we talk about Movsar, I mean, it's simple as that. His brother's an Olympic gold medalist in wrestling. He's strong. He can wrestle. You got to avoid that. So for Lerone, you got to move. You got to stay on that bike, stick and move.
Well, listen, the Miracle will be on the pre-show tomorrow, so you certainly don't want to miss it. And I hope you tell him that exact thing.
I'm going to. If you need some help with it, with some wrestling, I can help, but I'm not. I guarantee I'm probably not.
Tell him not to slow down.
I mean, Mozart's way stronger.
Exactly.
Do not slow down.
Let's take a look at this London card once again. Mike, I know we're talking about a lot of these fights. You were particularly interested in this co-main event. What about it has you excited?
Oh, my gosh. Well, Luke Riley just bursts on the scene. He's 12-0. He shows up in Doha, Qatar, gets a beautiful round 2 KO over Bogdan Grad. I mean, it was like a gunslinging scene from a Western. They went punch for punch, and it was his left hook that landed first, got a huge finish. And then when you talk about Michael Aswell, his last fight, he goes behind enemy territory, goes to Rio, puts away Lucas Almeida, round 1 TKO with just a barrage of punches and just devastating ground and pound. 2 guys that are big-time finishers. And obviously, I think Luke Riley being a very highly touted prospect coming out of Paddy Pimblett's camp probably helps aid him in getting that co-main event slot. But I think that this is just going to be an absolute shootout between Luke Riley and Michael Aswell. It's going to be a good one.
No, absolutely. And Michael Venom Page is returning to the octagon too, Robert. You know, he's gone between a couple of divisions here. What are your thoughts on his return?
Well, and I hate it. Every time he moves up to middle, I'm like, ugh. It's like, go back down, because he is a striker's nightmare, okay? If you were trying to strike him, he is a puzzle. And Sam Patterson, he's looking for knockouts. He's looking for those highlight reels. If he overcommits and he overextends, he's going to end up on one, because Venom Page will make you pay for every space you don't take up.
Now, Anthony, I know you just literally can't wait to talk about this matchup between Roman Dolidze and Christian Leroy Duncan.
Yeah, I love talking about people that beat me up. I don't know that I would call this as direct as a striker versus grappler, but Roman Dolidze is one of the better grapplers in the division. And I had trained with him a couple times before, and I felt it while we were in there. I was able to stay safe for the most part, but you can feel when someone's a really, really dangerous grappler, and you kind of just have to hold up a little bit and not open yourself up. But he's a really good counter striker, and I found that out while I was in there. He's just really fast. He kind of sits back on his back foot, and he's kind of coiled like a snake and ready to go once you overcommit. But Christian Leroy Duncan, that guy, I don't know why don't we just watch him in MVP fight like 10 times in a row? I feel like that would be a lot of fun, but he's crazy dynamic, but he's really growing in his skill set. I do get frustrated sometimes because he's winning these striking exchanges, and then we find him in the clinch, and he's up against the fence. But it's really working for him. He's really rounding out his game. He's really winning those wall install kind of positions, backing off just a little bit, and throwing some big elbows and punches, and then getting back into that. That guy's dynamic. He's going to spin on a dime. You never know when it's going to happen. I think especially a guy that's so offensively minded versus a guy who wants to counter usually makes for a great fight.
Well, we know that card looks amazing on paper, and the crowds in London are always so great. So we greatly look forward to that one in March. But let's take one more look at our main event on Saturday night on Paramount+.
The message that I have to say to my division is the king is here. There's no one better than me in my division, so all my opponents will be prepared because I'm coming.
On a UFC contract.
Less than 2 years, and that's my first main event. It's just can prove to me that I'm amazing, that everything that I put in my life that I am, I really am.
The ceiling is so high for this man.
I think we knew that when we saw him fight on Contender Series. He is such a wild card on the feet, and he has just continued to produce, even in the UFC.
My next opponent will be Mario Bautista, number 9 in the ranking. Compared to me, he is nothing, and that fight to be a little bit sad, but not for me, to him.
Oh my goodness! Oliveira enter with a flying knee!
This guy, Oliveira, has something special.
I'm going to deliver the best performance that I have done in my whole life, so it's a good chance to show the world how good I am and a good step that I will give in my career.
The way I would sum up my career so far is just that young kid that lost his debut and then just worked hard, fight after fight after fight, just knowing that hard work can get you to where you want.
Battle-born Mario Bautista, the Nevada-born, Phoenix, Arizona-based fighter out of the MMA lab.
There's the tap from Kelleher in the first round.
Battleborn is the Nevada State motto, but to me, it means a lot more. It means representing where I'm from, the things I've been through to get to where I am, and it's about being resilient. You just never quit. You find it in yourself, in your heart. You use everything, your spirit, your soul, everything you desire, to get this win.
This guy is a beast. And he feels like he's in his prime right now, really coming into his own inside the octagon. He heard him.
I think that's it. Oh, Mario Bautista!
Oh, my goodness.
I think Vinicius is an amazing fighter. My goal in the UFC is to become a champion, obviously. And then a win over Vinicius puts me right back into the top to fight another top 5 opponent and get me that title shot.
There's the tap. Mario Bautista sending the message.
I'm gonna win my Bautista for sure. And when I win the my Bautista, all the world will look at me with different eyes.
I want my first main event to be my welcoming party. This is where I become well-known worldwide. This is the fight that's going to be remembered for a while.
The biggest mistake that Mario Bautista think about me, that I'm a weak. I'm a different style, different human.
Winning this fight proves that I deserve to be in the spot that I am. Vinicius is going to find out what it's like to top 10 fighter.
There it is. And there's the tap. Wow.
Well, we have got a great bantamweight main event to look forward to on Saturday night. And here's the schedule for this weekend because you don't want to miss a second of the action available on Paramount+. We've got the pre-show at 4 Eastern where these 3 gentlemen will join me. We're going to talk about all of the fights. Then the prelims kick off at 5 Eastern. The main card is at 8. And don't go anywhere because you're going to want to hear their thoughts on the post-fight show as well and hear from all of the big winners on Saturday night. Of course, on Paramount+. But we're inside the new and improved Meta Apex. We're in the heart of the octagon. And this is cool. They've added a ton more seating. It's open to the public. This feels like really good vibes. It feels like it's going to be a more lively environment. Mike, I mean, you're here all the time for work. What do you think about the new and improved changes?
Well, I tell people all the time, the best place to watch a UFC event is here at the Meta Apex. The energy is great, so I love the expansion. I love that we're going to be able to just expand the capacity. Just already building up a great facility into something better. So I'm looking forward to Saturday and watching the fights here.
No, absolutely. Let's take a look at the prelim card before we go because there's a lot of great fights to look forward to. The women's bantamweights get us started, and we've actually got a pair of ranked women's flyweights as well, and a great fight in the welterweight division is our featured prelim of the evening. But gentlemen, before we go and we get prepared for this first ever fight night on Paramount+, I want to hear your fight or fighter to watch on the prelim portion of this card.
Well, I got to go with Daniil Donchenko. I coached him on The Ultimate Fighter. He's got such a fan-friendly style, and we saw that in his finale fight when he fought his teammate Rodrigo Cenzanano. So you got to watch for the elbows. You got to watch for the dynamic striking. I mean, this guy trains with Rafael Fiziev all the time, so you know what to expect. Hybrid striking, very, very fan-friendly style. So that is my prelim fighter to watch.
I love it. Anthony, who do you got?
Well, and fighting Daniil is Alex Morono. He's not the huge name guy that typically you're going to look for, but anytime I see him on a fight card, I'm excited because I know that he's going to bring the action. He's going to push forward the entire time. Of course, I'm always going to be a little bit partial to really good jiu-jitsu guys. He's got incredible jiu-jitsu. He has an amazing, successful jiu-jitsu school in Texas, and that guy's always going to throw big punches and let him fly.
Yes, a very trial-tested veteran and one of the nicest guys in the game. Robert, who do you have?
Now, do you want to see chaos? Look at the size. Look at the size of this octagon. If you want to see chaos and you want to see heart, Veritanikov, Nico Price, getting in here short notice, it's just going to be a mess. It's going to be a chaotic mess, and I'm here for it, especially in this arena. You're going to be like 5 feet away from it. Unreal. Unreal.
The gladiator versus the hybrid. I don't think anyone could have sold it better than Robert Whitaker. Guys, we appreciate your insight as always. I'm Magna Levy, Michael Chiesa, Robert Whitaker, and Anthony Smith. We'll all see you tomorrow on the pre-show at 4 Eastern, 1 Pacific, only on Paramount+.